pebble. Now, some of us have really big thoughts. So it's more than a pebble. It's like this huge stone we pick up and we drop it in the pond. And it creates a huge wave. And we create big things in our life. And depending on where the emotion is, the sense, the feeling that's behind that, that's the kind of wave you're going to create. So if your stone is one of hatred and anger and discord, and you throw it in that pond, then the wave you're going to create is hatred and anger and discord and dis-ease. And then you wonder, where did that show up in my life? How did that happen to be here? And not only that, but as we walk in the world, as we experience ourselves in the world, everybody else is doing this too. So we've got this little pond, and we're all throwing rocks and pebbles and stones into it. And there's all these ripple effects, these waves that are moving out and about, creating. Because that's the nature of who we are. We are creating. Every thought we have is creating something in the world. That's what we do. That's the very essence of who we are. We are creative individuals. So when we show up in a group, in a like-minded group, and we affirm some truth, then we are creating in a collective way some thought, some imagination, some good that we want to bring forth in the world. And that's why we say that we believe that we can heal and we can change and we can transform the conditions of our lives. When we come together, two or more, in agreement, when we say that phrase, and so it is, we are using that as our declaration of agreement. Not just because it sounds good, but because you want to agree with the premise, the concept that has just been put out for you that said that there is good in the world. And can we affirm that? And so it is. That's how we do it. That's how we change it. That's the power and the presence when you meet with a practitioner. Not because they have some magic potion that they're going to work on you, but because they can sit there as the witness with you to affirm and agree with you that whatever it is that you are declaring, whatever it is that you want in your life, your greater good is done. And so it is. That's what they're doing. They're standing witness with you. And if need be, they're going to check in with you to make sure that you're holding on to that power and that affirmation. Because it's so easy to walk out of these doors and get caught up in the activity of life that says something different, that wants to tell you that that's not true. That really what we're about is discord and disharmony and dis-ease. Because so many people are living in a place of fear and lack and limitation, and they think that the only way they can get out of it is to bring you down with them and hopefully put you underneath them so that they're standing up a little higher. They haven't moved any, they're just trying to bring you lower. The greater good is about bringing everybody up to where we are. That's why we show up here in celebration. Because we have discovered that there is a truth, there is a principle in life that says that we can have our good. We can experience the kingdom of heaven right here, right now. And we must do this for everybody. We cannot put anybody down. We cannot dismiss anybody. We cannot disclaim anybody else's experience. We have to stand in the higher truth and bring it up So when we're throwing our pebbles in there, when we're throwing our stones out into that pond, we're creating the ripple effect. And everybody's creating a ripple effect. And if you ever notice that when you throw several stones into the pond, you have all these ripples, eventually they come together. They intersect. They interfere with each other. And when that happens, it creates something new and different. You put out a ripple effect. Somebody else will put out a ripple effect. The two of them come together and they create something different. They move in a different direction. That's how you get to some place where you didn't think you were going. You stepped into somebody else's ripple wave and started to ride along with it, along with your own. Now, if you're in agreement, it's really great because it's a higher wave of consciousness. But if you're in resistance, and if you're fighting it, and if you're trying to throw in a bigger stone so that you don't have to be affected by that ripple effect, then you really may not know where it's going to end up. So this takes discipline. This takes consistency. This takes commitment. Yes, there's that word, commitment. You cannot live a spiritual life knowing that peace is forever present without holding high watch. Each and every day you need to stand tall. You need to look up and experience the glory and the expression that was here. We viewed a DVD from Asilomar this week on Friday night. Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis was talking. And she used this phrase about how people, if you ask them, so how's life going? What's going on with your life? What are you doing? What are you thinking? And people are like, oh, what do you? And they're looking down. And she encourages people, if you want something better in life, you have to look up. You have to pick your head up and start looking out into the world. You have to see the better life. You have to imagine the better life. I love her expression. She says that it's so easy, when we get caught up into stuff, that we go down into the basement of our experience. To find all of the curmudgeon stuff that we have to deal with. Because in Science of Mind, that's one of the things that we do. We say, well, you got to clean up your life. You got to get your thinking right. You got to go down there and find out what all of this smudge is about and bring it up. And she was like, enough of that. How about if we move up into the top tower, into the penthouse, so that we got a bigger view of what's going on in the world? And then if God wants you to examine something, if God wants you to look at some challenge, if God wants you to clean up some part of your life, then God will bring it up on the service elevator so you can deal with it up here. Because if we're standing up here on the top of the mountain, if we're standing up here with our arms wide open, try this. Open up your arms. If you're standing here open up to life, then you will bring in a greater experience. Does that feel good? Yeah. Imagine what everybody's going to feel like as they're moving around the city this week and everybody's walking around like this. Life is good. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. Say that with me. Life is good all the time. If you can't imagine that, if you're having some difficulty, some challenge about imagining some greater good, then I want to invite you to step into the power and the presence that is already within you. It's already there. If you need some tools, we have those. We have lots of tools to help you do that. This month,